Welcome to the Positive Sports Podcast. I'll be your host this afternoon, Ed Montana. Alongside me today, my brother Alex. Alex, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, Ed? I'm recovering from SummerSlam. I had a bunch of pizza, a bunch of soda, and a bunch of wrestling. Good Sunday night.
That sounds good. I knew it was SummerSlam last night, but I didn't actually watch it. Why didn't you invite me over, man?
Kids only. Kids only.
Yeah, just because I happen to be a little bit bigger than most kids doesn't mean I'm not a kid. Don't let the gray hairs fool you, man. I'm still a kid at heart.
Yeah, my daughter. I guess my daughter sucked me into promising her that I would, we would watch SummerSlam together, and then I was like, well, got a top, because when I was a kid, right, it was like you go to a buddy's house,
right?
It was a big party. I was like, well, if we're gonna watch SummerSlam, might as well, do it over some pizza and 4 2-liter Cokes.
That sounds like a good night. I was out at the baseball field till 10 o'clock at night, and the sun made it to the finals of a baseball tournament. Unfortunately, they lost in the final, which, it's never good to lose, but man, it sucks when you lose in the final, a close game.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, they played well, 5 games, they won 4 of them. They did well all weekend. But sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way, man. They were up 1 with the bases loaded, and this kid hit a ground ball, not real hard, but he hit it precisely between the third baseman and the shortstop, and that scored a run, and there was an error on the throw, and that scored another run, and that's how they ended up losing. But if he hits that ball 3 inches one way or the other, then the shortstop or the third baseman get it, because he didn't hit it very hard. But it's just one of those things,
The bounce of the ball, man, is so tricky sometimes.
And then to make matters worse, in the bottom half of the inning, we came up to bat, and with 2 outs, man on second, and we're down 2. This kid absolutely smokes a ball, and it literally hit the shortstop in the chest. It was right to him. He didn't even have to move. He just put his glove right in front of his chest and caught it. Ball game.
Yeah.
That's just the way it goes sometimes. Nothing you can do about that stuff. It happens.
Well, sometimes you got to hit it where the other player isn't.
Yeah, and it just goes to prove, right? It's always better to hit them where they ain't.
Right.
Right? They didn't hit one hard, but they hit it where they ain't, and we hit it hard, but hit it right to them. So
yeah,
that's the way the ball bounces. They say it's a game of inches. There you go.
Yeah.
I tell you what, who's not worried about a game of inches here lately? The San Diego Padres. Man, are they looking? Now they look like they're just gonna outmuscle everybody, right? They've won 7 in a row. They're still 4 games back of the Dodgers, because the Dodgers are, the Dodgers are like a big cat playing with their food. They're just smacking teams around for the fun of it. But the Padres are impressive. Do you think they hang around for all? They've played 30 games. Do you think they hang around for another 30 games and make a run at it?
Oh yeah, that they hang around. Yeah, definitely. It's an exciting team. I think some of those. Eric Hosmer is the only one that I can think of that's older than
Right.
A lot of other guys on that team. But look, man, Tatis is the main attraction, and he's doing well, and he's really I think he sparked the rest of the team. They hit grand slams in 4 or 5 straight games or some shit.
Crazy, huh?
That's crazy. So their week started off with unwritten rule bullshit, and it seems like they just build off that, and they're playing good, exciting baseball. That's what's good for the game right now.
Now, the thing you have to wonder with them is their pitching is not great. And you got to wonder what's going to happen when you get into the real throes of playoff baseball, especially with a young team like that. But certainly, as far as the regular season goes, there's no reason to think they won't pick up a wild card spot. I mean, they're in the first wild card spot right now. So I don't see that changing. I mean, they're playing good ball. Obviously, they're riding a bit of a hot streak. You mentioned the unwritten rules from earlier this week. I know your opinion on this, but I'm going to let you share it with everyone. What did you think about the whole unwritten rule? First of all, this is what I want to know. Do you think he was wrong swinging 3-0 in a 10-4 game in the 8th inning?
No, I'll be honest with you. I've never heard of this rule. After the 6th inning, if you're up by 6 or more runs, I've never heard of that. So I was like really shocked at all the backlash that he was getting. And first of all, I want to know who wrote these unwritten rules.
Well, no one. They're unwritten.
Right. Exactly. So fuck the unwritten rules because they're not in the handbook. Like
they're in the handbook. They're in the unwritten handbook.
In the unwritten handbook, I mean, well, I guess robbing a bank is not in the handbook either, right? But you know not to do it. But this is not that. You know what I mean? Like, the slogan was last year at the start of the season was "Let the kids play," and Tatis is just that. He's just a kid. I didn't see a big deal in it. I honestly didn't know of this unwritten rule. So no, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, look, we seen I think it was like on Sunday night a long time ago, Mariners and Indians. One of them came back from like a 7-run deficit in like the last inning or 8th inning or whatever. We saw another one this week where I forgot who was down. It was the Phillies were up on the Blue Jays 7-0, and Toronto came back in the 2nd inning and whatever late in the game, and
right.
So it happens. I mean, I don't have any beef with it.
The only problem I had with Tatis was he missed a sign, right? Like the coach gave him the take sign, and he missed it. And I don't have a problem with the home run, but it's a team game, and the coach makes calls, and that's why they have signs. And if you miss a sign, I have a problem with that, but not a big problem, right? I mean, it happens. It's a mistake. It's not a big deal. And I'm kind of like you with these unwritten rules. I'm kind of like, whatever, I don't really care. Here's my problem. Like, what is the record for most runs in a comeback in the 9th inning, right? Like, what's the biggest deficit overcome in the 8th inning, right? Let's say the record is 8. I don't know, but let's just say it's 8. Well, if you're anything less than 8 runs up, you got to keep playing, right? And here's the thing. Even if the record's 8 and you're up 8, look, at one point the record was 7 and someone made it 8, right? At some point the record was 6 and then someone else came and blew a 7-run lead. So just because you've got an 8-run lead doesn't mean you can't blow it, right? And the third thing is this. That pitcher on the Rangers is a grown-ass man collecting a significant paycheck. I mean, we're not talking about kids here. He's a grown-ass man. He's getting paid for what he's doing. And if he gives, if he throws a meatball on 3-0, and actually it wasn't a meatball, it was kind of outside, but Tatis just is a strong kid, right?
Right.
I mean, just get over it. And quite honestly, I think the San Diego manager, because he was a former Rangers staffer on the managing staff of the Rangers, he made a bigger deal out of it than anyone. right? The pitcher threw
That's
him
what I was.
on the next pitch, and that was that. And that was the end of it. But then he went in the post-game press conference and made a big deal about it. And, Tatis has to respect it. And it's like, people need to just shut up.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. The manager kind of calling out his guy, his young player, because look, at the end of the day, who's gonna be there? Who's gonna be there the longest with the Padres? The manager or Tatis? Probably Tatis, right? He's the face of the franchise. So I mean, I didn't like that either because you're kind of putting the kid out there, and I just found it really funny. The rest of the series because they hit a grand slam like every game after that.
Yeah, but the next grand slam was in
mean,
the fourth inning, so it was okay. Right?
So yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing is kind of
yeah.
The whole thing is kind of silly. Moving around, any other big surprises to you so far? We're about halfway done with this mini season that we're playing. Any other big surprises or anything else that's really kind of caught your attention?
No, look, and real quick with the Padres, if they have pitching issues, they're now's the time for them to pick up the phone and make a few phone calls, and maybe they can grab a starter or two that could help them out, right? But as far as other teams, I mean, the Cubs are a little bit of a surprise because they started off real good, but they haven't been so happy by it.
Mm-hmm.
I seen a crazy stat. Javi Baez is like 2 for 20 something. His whole offense is really struggling now. Chris Bryant has gone on the IL, so they might be in some trouble.
Yeah, it's really looking like a lot of stuff is kind of going status quo. The surprise to me, and part of it is because they've been really hot here lately. The Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, I figured they would be in the fight for the top of that division, but they're looking better and better, and they have a ton of pitching. It seems like they're good. They have good starters. They have a good bullpen, middle relief late in the game. I mean, they seem to have it all put together. They're barely giving up 4 runs a game. So, they are. And here's the thing. We're seeing a lot of home runs in this early part of the season. I'm not sure why. My guess is because it's hot. We're seeing more home runs in the first 30 games than we normally see because the first 30 games are usually in April when it's a little bit cooler, especially in northern cities. And so we're seeing more home runs than normal. So scoring is up, but yet the Rays pitching is phenomenal. I would dare to say they have the best pitching in baseball right
now. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I mean, another team that's really, I'm not too surprised by it, but I mean, the White Sox, I mean, they're fucking smashing. That lineup is really, really, really going to be tough to get out because those are home run hitters. Some of them hit for average. Like, that's a scary lineup. And I think their pitching is going to be pretty good. And it's, they got a lot of ground ball pitchers on that team. So they're playing pretty good lately.
Yeah, I know you're not surprised because you had them going pretty far. So they got off to a bit of a rocky start, but they've really hit their stride here lately, and they're looking good. I mean, they're only 2 games out in the Central. It looks like the Central is going to send 2 teams to the playoffs because, how many teams make the playoffs? It's 8, right?
8. Yeah.
So it's going to be 2 from every division plus 2 more. Yeah, my guess is the Indians are going to get it because it's going to be Tampa and the Yankees in the East, the A's and the Astros in the West, although the Astros look a little wobbly, and then Minnesota, Cleveland, and the Indians. That's 7. So someone else will find a way to get in there. Maybe the Blue Jays or the Orioles or whatever. But So it's looking good for the White Sox. I'll tell you what, they've got some muscle on that team because Abreu is, I mean, that guy's he hit a ball that looked like a lazy fly ball, and it ended up, 10 rows up in Wrigley in the right field seats in Wrigley. So he's
Yeah.
a he's a big, strong dude. They look good. I like them. Anything else that's really caught your eye?
Uh, I mean, I think that so far this season, the 8 teams makes it a lot more interesting, because it just gives more teams the opportunity to not give up at the end, because if you're the 9th, 10th place team and you're 2-3 games back with, whatever, a week to go, you know, think about it. You're playing, the odds are that you're probably playing the team in front of you, right? Being that you're only playing divisional games that last week or last 2 weeks. So, that really kind of spices it up a little bit,
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're never really out of it,
Yeah.
right? So it should be good. Yeah, looking at the standings, I mean, granted, we're only about 30 games in, but if you look at the standings by league, top to bottom, there's only 2 teams in the American League that are more than 10 games worse than the A's, who have the best record. And there's only 1 team in the National League that is more than 10 games worse than the Dodgers, who have the best record in the National League. The A's are looking real good, which we kind of expected the A's to look good, and it's going to be interesting. I think we got a lot of good teams. The only bad surprise, and it's not really a bad surprise. I guess you just kind of, this is a reputation thing, but the Red Sox look terrible. I mean, the Red Sox, I don't know what's going on. They can't seem to hit. They can't seem to pitch. They're blowing games late. I mean, it's a nightmare. And the other one that I noticed is, it was like this last year, only they got better at the end. The Nationals bullpen is just a nightmare. I mean, they're giving up runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning like it's going on. They have to be praying for 7-inning doubleheaders every day.
Well, now their issue is, Strasburg is done for the season, so that's an arm that's lost. Corbin is not pitching that great. Scherzer's not pitching that great. So, now all of a sudden, I thought they had the best rotation in that division. I think if they were 100% healthy, I think they would definitely be the best rotation or the best 1-2-3 punch. But now they got to rely on their bats. And when you look at their lineup, it's not that great. Remember, they lost Rendon, and my question was Soto going to be able to kind of carry that lineup? And that's going to be tough to do,
Well, it's tough to carry the lineup when you don't have any protection, right? I mean, it's not just the production of Rendon, it's the protection, right? It's having a guy behind you and seeing more balls that the pitcher's got to get an out from somewhere, and so you're going to see more fastballs, and you're going to see more you're going to see a better selection of pitches to hit. So it's been tough, but it's looking good. I think now that the Cardinals are playing again and the Marlins are catching up, hopefully the players have learned that there's still this whole COVID thing out there, and they stop monkeying around and stick to playing baseball. You know what I mean?
Well, the Mets were the latest victim, and it's funny that it was in Miami.
Right. So I blame that on the Marlins.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now the Mets are the Mets back this week? Are they back already, or was it just the weekend?
So the Mets are back on Tuesday, and they will have 2 7-inning doubleheaders. They will have about 70 innings to play in 6 days.
Well, that's good because that's less bullpen work. Well, maybe not.
Well, if if you had if you had the ground 1 through 5, yeah, that'd be okay. But the Mets don't have the ground 1 through 5, and they have a couple of guys on the IL, so it may, in this case, it's not really a benefit to the Mets.
Yeah, if they could spread those doubleheaders out, it would work. Because that's the problem, right? If you play enough doubleheaders, you can't get your rotation back in, so you're going to have a bullpen game, basically.
Right. Yeah.
It's interesting. This short season has created a lot of weird dynamics, but it's interesting to watch.
It is. Did you watch a Mike Trout baseball card sell for $4 million?
I missed that, but
you mean you didn't have a bid?
Probably because I wasn't in the bidding.
$4 million for a Mike Trout baseball card, for a piece of cardboard.
I'll tell you what, I do not understand how that whole market works. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, okay, I understand. Don't get me wrong. I understand Mike Trout is a Hall of Famer in the making. He may end up being one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. He's going to win a World Series, let's say, whatever. I understand all of that. What I don't understand is that someone would pay $4 million to have something that's very obviously not worth $4 million. Like it's worth $4 million because that's what he paid for it, but there's no one else out there that's going to pay $4 million for it. So now it's no longer worth $4 million. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying, but in this case, like, Mike Trout's career is not done. Right. I'm going to assume that value of the card is going to be more once he hangs it up. And those cards, that card is probably a one of one, so nobody has it. So somebody will end up paying $5 million for it one day.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Don't you think that the fact that Mike Trout is still playing and the fact that people think he's going to be great is already baked into that $4 million number? Like, if he was retired, no one would pay $4 million for it, right? So the fact that someone's paying $4 million for it is because they assume that he's going to be a Hall of Famer, that he's going to win a World Series at some point, that he's going to win multiple MVPs. That's already baked in there, right? It's not like it's your baseball card. Your baseball card wouldn't go for $4 million because no one thinks you're going to make the Hall of Fame, win a World Series, or win multiple MVPs. So I think that $4 million already has all of those assumptions baked into it.
Yeah, so, but I mean, it's just that it's just an assumption. Now, if it becomes a reality that he makes the Hall of Fame, breaks the home run record, wins a World Series and 10 Gold Gloves or whatever, then the value's gonna go up. Plus, the trade market with baseball cards is, I think it's a lot of it has to do with it just being a collectibles thing, like you just want to collect it. So if I'm a collector, and I have the money, right? I'm this billionaire. I'm Steve Cohen. I got all this money, and I want to throw away $5 million. I'll make the guy an offer for $5 million, and if he's willing to sell it, then that card is worth $5 million.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like everything's baked into it. It can only, in my opinion, go down from here, right? He gets injured here. Let's say he gets injured now, right? And he misses 15 games. Well, now he's not going to win the MVP this year, right?
Right.
Next year something happens. Obviously he's not on a good team right now, so World Series doesn't look likely. There's just so many variables. I feel like all it can do is go down. But it's crazy to me that people pay $4 million for something like that. I mean, I guess, it's the same thing. I don't understand art either. Like people that pay millions of dollars for a painting. But at least with a painting, that's a piece of work, right? Like someone did that. A card, because of the numbers it has on it, You know what I should do is I should make a card for my son and just put like a freaking awesome Hall of Fame career on it and be like, hey, 4 million
Yeah,
bucks.
my son had a Little League Hall of Fame career.
That's right. He's already done with elementary school, so you know he was great.
That's right.
You don't have to worry about whether he's going to get injured during elementary school. He's out. He's retired from elementary school. He's in high school now.
You should totally do that. Like, just make up some crazy number and just print them out.
Yeah.
One of one. You got to put one of one behind the card.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm only going to make one, and then I'm going to put it on eBay and see if I can, maybe not 4 million, but if I can get $4,000 for it, why the hell not?
Right? Exploiting your son.
Hey, I've put more than $4,000 into his baseball at this point. It's not, as much baseball as that kid plays and equipment and whatnot, man.
She gets pricey.
More than $4,000. Hey, have you been watching these NBA playoffs?
Yeah, for the most part I have. I got nothing but time in my hands, so on my hands.
Every fucking day.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll tell you.
Yeah,
what,
I mean,
I'll tell you what, bubble or not, these playoffs are the same thing as they were last year. You don't need 16 teams in the playoffs. The first round of the playoffs is pretty much a waste of time. You've got 8 series going on, and only 2 of them, maybe 3, are worth anything, right? I mean, the Dallas Clippers series, only because of Luka Doncic, is must-watch TV. The Rockets Thunder series, only because the Rockets can piss away games like nobody's business, has been must-watch TV. But the rest of it, waste of time.
Oh, you're crazy. The Nuggets and Jazz game, 2 guys on 2 teams going for 50 last night? I don't know.
Yeah,
We've had some pretty good games, man.
But the Jazz are making the Nuggets look terrible. I mean, all of a sudden, Mitchell and Gobert are just, lighting it up.
One team has to win and one team has to lose. So one team's going to make the other one not look good on some nights. But, I mean, those have been good games.
But we're getting some really uncompetitive games, right? Like the Boston-Philadelphia series, I mean, all you had to do was watch the fourth quarter. And even in a couple of those games, by the time you got to the fourth quarter, it was over. The Toronto-Brooklyn series, was Brooklyn even in the bubble?
Oh, yeah, that.
Were they even in the bubble? Because I feel like they left the bubble like 2 weeks ago.
Who?
The Nets.
No, dude, the Nets. Did you not see the game between the Nets and the Blazers? Like, the Blazers needed that game. The Nets played a hell of a game. Look, there was no chance the Nets were going to beat the Raptors. They're undersized. They're undermanned. That was a given.
Hold on. Last week, I told you the one series I thought for sure was going to be a blowout was the Raptors-Nets series. And you said, no, I think the Nets are going to be competitive. It's going to be close. They may lose in 5, but every game will be close. And it wasn't.
No, yeah, I know it wasn't close. But, I mean, that doesn't mean that I thought they were going to win the series. I mean.
No, but you said they were going to be competitive.
Yeah, well, I mean, But, I mean, I don't know. I guess that goes to show that the East is just not really good, and LeBron was getting a free ride every fucking year. Because, I mean, the Bucks, lost that one game against the Magic, and, I mean, those series haven't been really competitive. I mean, the fucking Heat are up 3-0 on the Pacers.
They're playing right now, and the Heat are up 13.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
the Pacers just are getting manhandled. They're getting manhandled all over the place. And, I thought the Blazers-Lakers series would be good. but I think Lillard is either running out of gas or he injured his hand worse than we think. And I think it's going to be pretty quick from here on out.
I don't know. I'm starting to think that this playing every other day is taking a toll on the Lakers. I mean, there was a few plays Saturday night where they really didn't get back on defense.
Man, they looked terrible in that first game.
Although we don't like the long layoff, how it normally is for the playoffs, this playing every other day might be taking a toll on them, and we're not getting a good quality of basketball that way either.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, so Luka Doncic, I mean, is he the best player in the NBA right now?
He's the best player in the whole world ever.
Ever, huh?
Ever.
Oh, there we go. Overreaction Monday.
That's right. Nurkic is, kind of like Fernando Tatis in baseball. He's exciting. He's good. I think it was really classy by him to, Harrell of the Montrezl Harrell of the Clippers. Someone read him, calling Doncic a soft-ass white boy. And they kind of, met mid-court before yesterday's game, and Harrell apologized, and I thought Luka Doncic responded in a way that killers that move in silence do. They don't do a lot of talking. He just responded on a busted ankle and brought his team back down 21 in the game, and brought them back and fucking hit a game-winning shot. I mean, he's exciting. He's good. He's beautiful right now. Future's bright.
And, in today's day where we want to make a big deal about every little thing, I think it's, I think we should see more examples of Doncic. The other guy apologized, and he, accepted the apology, and you move on. I mean, we got to stop, this goes beyond basketball, but we got to stop condemning people forever over a mistake, especially in sports where a lot is said and done in the heat of a competition. People need to just chill out and let them work it out, right? Just let them work it out. It's just not that big a deal.
Well, I think in this case, people chose to talk about it and saw the opportunity to talk about it because he said soft-ass white boy. Right. And everything associated with the bubble and the purpose of, the guys having their, these names on the back of their jerseys was trying to send a certain message. And so I think people saw an opportunity to, to make this a big deal, right? So the media likes to do that. So
I think both of those guys handled it well. I didn't, I wasn't particularly mad at the Clippers player, whatever his name is, it slips my mind. I don't know him, but I don't automatically assume he's a racist or anything like that. I mean, he's, stuff happens during the course of a game. Those guys say a lot of stuff. They talk about their mamas and whatnot, and it's competition, man. Everybody's trying to get a leg up.
Yeah.
Who wins that series? I mean, that's obviously the most competitive series that we have out of the 8. It's tied at 2. What do you think? Who's going to pull this out?
The Clippers aren't losing. The Clippers are going to win that series. Yeah, the Clippers will win that series.
I tell you what, they're not going to win that.
But I will say this.
Go ahead.
Paul George needs to figure it out because he's playing like really bad basketball. So I think the Clippers win. If it goes 6 or 7, I don't know, but the Clippers will.
Well, and that's what I was going to say to you. I was like, I don't know that Paul George is going to figure it out, and I'm starting to think that they may have a serious problem on their hands, and I think the Mavs are going to pull this out. I think, look, they've got the best player on the floor. Kawhi is now.
Whoa!
That's right. They've got the best.
You know who plays for the Clippers?
Huh?
Did you forget who plays for the Clippers?
Yeah, that guy's not the same guy he was last year. I'm not sure why, but the fact of the matter is he's not. And
I don't know.
the Mavs have the best player on the floor, and so and Paul George is either in a slump or maybe Dallas has just figured him out. I don't know, but I just don't think it's going to happen for the Clippers. I didn't have faith in the Clippers coming into this whole playoffs. And I think the Mavs are going to knock them out.
That would be interesting.
That would. They don't reseed after this, right?
No.
So the Mavs would go up against the winner of the Jazz and Nuggets, which
Right.
that's another one. I think that series is just about done.
Aren't they 2-2?
No, it's 3-1.
Oh, that's 3-1.
Yeah, and Utah just look, that first game that they played that went into overtime, that was an extremely close game.
They could have won that.
The Nuggets pulled that one out, but after that, it's pretty much been all Utah. And I expect them to close the series out tomorrow when they play Game 5.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to win that series, but I don't think they close it out tomorrow. I think Jokic goes off tomorrow. Whatever his points, rebound, assist total is, I'll take the over.
Okay, I'll hold you to that. In the East, look, everything's pretty much set, right? The Bucks are up 3-1, and aside from that first game, they look like completely control. The Raptors and the Celtics swept. The Heat are up 3-0, and they're up big in this game. They're up 11 right now. It looks like we're going to have those 4 teams. It looks like the Bucks and Heat, Raptors and Celtics. I think that Raptors-Celtics series is going to be the one to watch. I think that's going to be an awesome series. I think we're finally going to get some good basketball coming out of the East. What are you most looking forward to in the East?
I kind of like. I mean, I like both series really the same. The more, I don't know, man. I keep thinking the Heat have like a NBA final team. I mean, I picked the Celtics, but I like the Heat's team. I think they really are. I think they're a feisty team and they can shoot really well. I think they end up beating the Bucks. I don't think the Bucks are going to beat them. I don't think the Bucks beat them. I'm not sold on them.
The Bucks have had large stretches, even in the games that they've won. They've had significant stretches where they look not quite on the same page, and defensively, they got a lot of holes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think the Raptors and Celtics will probably give us a nice 7-game series.
I expect that to be a battle back and forth.
Hopefully it doesn't let us down.
I hope so, because I'm telling you, the East has been boring so far. So,
Yeah.
These conference semifinals, I want to see them go at it.
Yeah.
I want it to get.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I don't know. I don't know. What else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm hungry. I'm ready to go eat.
Well, you better go eat because I hear your stomach from here.
Yeah, well, I haven't eaten all day. I've been running around all day. All righty, my friend. That brings us to the end of another wonderful episode of the Positive Sports Podcast. As always, if you want to share your picks with us, you can reach the show via email, positivesports10@gmail.com, positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to hit Alex up, how do they do that?
On Twitter at Brooklyn Gaucho 1.
And if you want to hit me up, you can reach me on Twitter as well at eMontana21. Any parting shots, my friend?
No. Fuck the unwritten rules.
Hey, why don't you go write the rules? Why don't you go write them down so we all know?
The rules are already written. There's nothing else to write.
Write the unwritten ones. No swinging at pitches after the 8th inning.
Nope. If Rob Manfred doesn't do it, I ain't doing it.
All right, all right. I figured it'd be, maybe you should hit him up. Maybe he wants someone. Maybe he wants a volunteer.
Nah, he won't answer my phone.
Actually, I've seen your handwriting. You probably shouldn't write him.
He won't answer my phone call.
Ain't nobody gonna be able to read that.
Yeah.
All righty, folks. As always, we appreciate you watching and listening to our show. You can catch our show on YouTube, Podbean, Google Play, iTunes, whatever podcast platform you choose. And as always, folks, ignore the negativity, be the positivity.
Peace.